you know, things have gotten interesting. Let's talk about it. Hello and welcome to A Slice of Pie, the semi-weekly Newsish show that we do on this channel. And this week, we're specifically going to be talking a lot about AMD and Intel and the battle that has actually started. Like, it's going on, it's crazy, and there's just a lot to talk about there. But first, let's do some housekeeping. For one, we got a couple videos that are coming out. One about the crazy thing that Canon has done to change streaming forever. Another is about Radeon Chill and why you should be using it. That one is going to be coming out soon. I just got to do a final pass on the editing on that one. And yeah, originally it was going to be earlier in the week, and then I just wasn't quite happy with it, so I ended up reshooting and redoing it. I do have a video that I'm working on for Radeon anti-lag, and I've got some interesting findings there, but I need some more evidence before I present that one to you guys, so I got a bit more testing in the works for that. We also have a video involving dark matter, the name for the test system, and it was actually suggested by one of you guys. In fact, gonna pop his username on screen. Omega Man, you're awesome. We've got a video where we're going to actually start planning out the loop, and I'm actually going to discuss with you guys how to plan out a loop and then how to go and make a crazy loop like the one that's going to be in the system. And then I was going to do a video about AMD Link or Radeon Link, a feature that has now been built into the software that I've tested and I like, by using my Razer phone with those weird Razer phone-like Joy-Con devices. But unfortunately, that is not the plan, because I finally got a hold of a motherboard for dark matter, and it's coming, and it was a bit more expensive than I wanted it to be, but I did get it at MSRP, which right now is a bit of a problem with AMD motherboards. So we've got the motherboard coming, and I'm probably going to get the processor next week. That way we can at least test post the system, and so I don't need to be buying $100 Joy-Cons for a Razer phone quite yet. Intel finally launched 10th gen, and it's out, it's in reviewers' hands, and it was but a footnote, because every single one of those processors were immediately compared to an AMD processor. Ryzen 7, Ryzen 9, Ryzen 5. And the worst part is, the pricing, as I suspected, wasn't quite where Intel said it would be. In fact, it was actually just enough that it ended up actually competing with an AMD CPU that would be a SKU higher than what Intel would have initially wanted you to compare it to. It puts into perspective a brand premium, which Intel is banking on them still having. The problem is, a lot of people are starting to build with Ryzen. In fact, it's been so hard to get a Ryzen motherboard that it was actually news that I got a hold of one. So essentially, it's a bit of a weird situation, and the reviewers got it. There were some good things, like they shrunk the IHS, like the actual interface, so now there's better thermal connectivity, which actually allows for better overclocking, so it doesn't actually overheat, which is a good thing. But at the same time, that overclocking is still relegated to K CPUs. That being said though, some motherboard makers are going to let you completely bypass the K CPUs, which that's kind of interesting. Asus and Gigabyte actually have a setting that will allow you to overclock without having a K CPU, which is interesting, but at the same time, these are specialty motherboards, and if you're going to buy those specialty motherboards, you're probably already going to buy a K CPU. And even crazier, and this is some news that somehow slipped under the radar of most people, Intel updated their stock cooler. They made it black. It looks cool. It looks good. It's still not going to be enough, and it's only with certain CPUs, but at the same time, Intel, you need to keep making some steps with those box coolers. I know that it's weird to say this, but AMD is killing you in stock coolers. Like, I don't know how this is actually a problem at all. It's really weird. Like, we have the Wraith Prism. Think about that one for a second. The Wraith Prism is good enough to just stick in a build. and it's not a problem. Like temperature wise, it's not a problem. It looks good, it's pretty, it glows, it's got RGB, and yet we're talking about Intel like coating the fins with a black layer, and it's improvement. Hey, but you know what? Intel is still the best in gaming. You still get the highest frame rates by a 2% margin. So Intel launched stuff, but AMD is striking back. Well, reportedly they're striking back with a heavily tuned version of their top SKUs that are called the XT variant. These variants have the exact same core counts as their respective parts. So a Ryzen 9 3800, 3900 numbers, XT and the normal variant would still have 12 cores and 24 threads, but the difference would be that there are actually slightly better cores with better overclocking capabilities on them. There are actually XT variants reportedly coming all the way down the SKUs. Now, these could just be heavily binned Ryzen chips, and they actually kind of make sense. And this does raise the question, are we actually going to just get a refresh of the Ryzen 3000 parts before we actually get to the Ryzen 4000 series? Some signs point to yes, especially the fact that it looks like they were trying to phase out X470 and B450 in that time, and if there's a year between that, that kind of makes sense. But on that note, AMD has done a reversal on that exact thing. Turns out enough backlash can actually do something. Or AMD is just a company that is willing to answer to its fans. X470 and B450 motherboards have now been added as support for the upcoming Ryzen 4000 series parts. They will do this through a one-time BIOS update that will nuke the old BIOS and only enable features for the Ryzen 4000 parts. They are literally clearing the slate clean. So before you actually update your BIOS to this, you actually have to confirm it with AMD that you bought a Ryzen 4000 series part and that you are going to actually upgrade your motherboard to that part. There is no going back, there is no reversing it. There are going to be extra steps in place to prevent you from accidentally doing this. And they've made it abundantly clear that this will not stop BIOS support for boards that are not running those BIOS. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this pans out, and the fact that you have to actually get it approved first does mean that there is an extra step in the chain, but at the same time, that step might be necessary to prevent people from accidentally nuking their brand new PC. B550 is going to cost more than B450 by roughly 50 bucks. We've gotten pricing on a few SKUs that actually have equal SKUs in the B450 line, and unfortunately, yeah, they cost more money, and I kind of saw that coming. They do have more features though, so that's good, and they have better VRMs, which again is good. It's like B550 is moving from like the entry level to the mid-range, but AMD now doesn't have an entry level, and some of the boards are still under $100, which are going to be your lower performing, less overclockable boards, and the most expensive boards are breaking 200, which puts it so that you could have things that are somewhere between $80 to $250 roughly, and then that's where X570 starts. I'm gonna be honest, I just bought an X570 motherboard and it was in the 300s. So motherboards are getting expensive on the AMD side, but as long as we're getting the features. And let me know if I should do a video, because I actually got a Crosshair. I keep buying Crosshairs. I don't know why. They're like my favorite motherboard, apparently. Let me know if you actually want to see a kind of like a head-to-head comparison between the Hero 7 and the Hero 8, because I think that's what we're at. I think that's the naming scheme. Let me know if you want to see those two kind of like side by side, my thoughts on whether or not the Hero 8 is actually worth it, because it is a lot more than the Hero 7 actually started at. It's about $150 more expensive, if I'm not mistaken. I have to check how much I even paid for a Hero 7. Oh my God. Let's talk about NVIDIA really quickly. They have dropped the Tesla branding. Why? Because of Elon Musk. That pretty much sums it up. They actually dropped the naming because they don't want to get confused with the actual Teslas. And because NVIDIA no longer produces chips for Tesla, and Tesla now makes their own chips for self-driving capabilities, I can see why there might be some bad blood between them. I actually want to share something that I found kind of awesome. I recently stumbled upon this YouTube channel where he does these insane mods on computers. This guy is literally hired by companies to just build insane builds and bring them to trade shows, which I'm sure this year's been interesting for him. But he did this awesome mod on Trident Zs, and I want them to make this now. Like, it came out so clean. Like, I really want them to redesign the light bar system that they have on Trident Z memory to match this. It's just nuts. It looks awesome. Instead of showing his video here and his work though, I'm just gonna leave a link down below and a card up above. Let's talk about some games that came out this week and are awesome, two of which I'm already playing. One of them is Saints Row 3, again. Well, this one is a remaster, and oh my goodness, is this a remaster. The new lighting engine looks great. They redid some of the animations. Things are tweaked. Things are added slightly. None gameplay wise, but mainly in animations. And the models have been changed, and we can see a very clear direction that they're heading for the next Saints Row game, which is slated to come out at some point in the near future. So it looks good. It's awesome. I love playing it. And that's pretty much as I'm going to say about that game on this channel for now. Elder Scrolls Online actually just launched Greymoor, which came with some server issues. I actually was trying to play it and I was having issues. That being said, this is Skyrim. It is so Skyrim, it's not even funny. There's this intro sequence that's kind of like the intro to the DLC, and it's literally you waking up in the bloody cart. Like, it is Skyrim in Elder Scrolls Online, and I love it. It's got Solitude, it's got Morthal, and it's such a, I don't want to spoil too much about it. Like, you can check out more about it when we finally start posting on our second channel, GreaterThanPie Gaming, where I'm going to be playing it, but there's just so much Skyrim and so many references in it. I love it. Maneater is another game on my list to play, but I've got too much to play right now, so I'm going to just leave it on my wish list. But this game, it's GTA with a shark. Enough said. Just enough said of that. It just looks awesome. I'll also be checking that game out soon. Strangely, all of those games are on the Epic Games Store because I actually want to share a bit of a story with you guys. That's a eyewitness statement or first-hand account. I'm the source. I bought Saints Row 3 remastered and I kind of pre-ordered it like 24 hours ahead. I played the game, I know I like the game, and I knew I would enjoy the remaster and playing it again, and I was willing to pay for it again. So I paid roughly 40 bucks for it, which for a game is not half bad, on the Epic Games Store as it has exclusivity for a year. I got an email 2 days after I downloaded it and played it, I was still playing it, that I had received a $10 refund. And I read the email and I'm like, wait, what? Epic Games had refunded me $10 because the game went on sale for 30 bucks within a certain period of time of which I purchased it. And they did this automatically without me doing anything. And I honestly thought that this was the most pro-consumer thing I have ever seen. So yeah, I hate to say it, but I'm probably going to be purchasing games on the Epic Games Store more frequently because of things like that. PSA time. If you get a Corsair water block, I advise you watch the videos down in the description. This saga has actually gone from a YouTuber that I do watch called Major Hardware. I've been watching his channel for couple months now, actually, because I found his 3D printing stuff fascinating and it was just interesting to watch. Did this thing where he liquid cooled an air cooler and I was like, yo, this is this is the kind of stuff that I come to YouTube for, is like the off the cuff stuff like this. So his channel is relatively new to my subscription feed, but not as new as he is to a lot of you, because he did a video recently where he actually found a flaw in the Corsair Hydro X water blocks, a flaw that every single one of those water blocks has. He ended up arming his card, Corsair sent him a new one, and the problem persisted. The problem is, it could cause some serious problems in your system, as it is a leak caused by pressure being placed in a downward motion on the fittings on the back of the card. This actually breaks the seal between the water block and the headpiece. I don't know what that, the terminal. It breaks the seal between the terminal and the water block, and this is actually a really big flaw. Now, his leaked when he was building his PC back up and he switched to an EK water block. Jayztwocents then picked it up and was like, well, this isn't likely to happen, but obviously it happened to the other guy. That being said, he did acknowledge that this is kind of a flaw. He recently posted a video where he used a gasket sealer to fix the water block and make it not leak. In which he said, honestly, they need to be using a bigger O-ring to make a tighter seal, which makes sense. Linus also talked about it on the WAN show. So this thing is literally like gone all over tech space YouTube, and I'm not gonna be surprised if you're gonna see more of this content coming up. So just stay safe with your water cooling out there, especially if you've got this water block, because there is a known flaw, and hopefully Corsair will fix it soon. Let's end on a happy note for the PC building community. PCMR, I'm a member of it as well. We got some serious representation here. Like, Lee made an 011 Dynamic PCMR edition. It is literally a mirrored version of the PC011 Dynamic with like chrome plating, and it looks so ridiculously awesome. The builds I've seen in it have been awesome. And each and every one of them actually has a number engraved onto a special plate that tells you exactly which one you are. It's just a bit of positivity. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, I do content like this every week, and I will see you guys in 2 weeks for this show. So thank you guys again. Wolfie out. I don't know why I did that. I'm out. Bye. Bye. Bye.